Welcome back to another episode of the Morning Skate. You are joined by Ked, your host, and my co-host Brownie. Spur of the moment, we made sure this was live on YouTube and Twitter. So if you join us, thank you for hopping in. It's been a long week. Free agent frenzy. It's the best part of the offseason. Now we're going to kind of go through a lull. But at this point, I was going to save it for a hero, but I'm just going to say it right now. Brownie, excellent job at the dock. Love seeing that,
thanks,
dude.
buddy.
Love popping in there and just everything's just ready to go. So A+ to you. How's everything going? How's your week?
Good. Yeah. Another week, grinding away. We, like I said, free agent frenzy is alive and well. It's like refresh. I think Fink said it in the group chat where all the bloggers, he was like that time of year when he just keeps refreshing Twitter or something to that effect.
Yeah, essentially.
It's great. And as usual, the Bruins were, I mean, there's all these huge signings everywhere. And I understand they're up against the cap and they can only do so much. But you guys put yourself in that cap mess, not me. And I would really like to have one of those years when it's like Chara, Savard, that was great. But that was how long ago?
Well, I think you guys are also kind of waiting, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure, in a little bit. Yeah. I think you're kind of waiting to see what Bergeron's going to do. They were conflicting.
Yeah, Bergeron, Krejci. There's been reports. Right? Yeah, there's been reports like that contradict every hour by the same beat writers. No one knows. So, yeah, there was a guy. People are so stupid. There was a guy on Facebook complaining that the Bruins had to the Bruins let Holla walk and then signed Zaka. And they were like, that's just a replacement player. And he got lit up. But I'm like, this is the morons we're dealing with on social media, especially Facebook. Facebook's the worst. But
yeah, Facebook is the worst. Sorry, I'm just retweeting on our channel to see if we can get this out.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, listen, it's fun to watch everything. It's fun to see how the landscape in the NHL changes. You can see the shift of power in the conferences and the divisions, and hopefully it all works out for the Bruins. I'm eternally optimistic when it comes to them.
I mean, as always, aren't we all?
Yeah,
unless you're a Devils, Islanders, or Philly fan, which I'm sure we'll get into here in a little bit. But let's just start off.
Devils are all right,
Are they? We're gonna go. Mea culpas. We're just gonna hop right in. So.
All right.
Hi, this is Mea Culpa, and I'm here to introduce the Morning Skates Mea Culpas with Ked and Brownie.
With Ked and Brownie, I love hearing that every single time. So, Brownie, what did we fuck up last week?
So Daniel Alfredsson did not win a cup, but he did win a world championship, the Calder, along with the King Clancy, which no longer exists, and the Marc Messier Leadership Award to go along with his 6 All-Stars. So
those are some pretty good trophies for the mantle.
Yeah, and I think I saw somewhere that he's rated like the best player out of Sweden ever.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's open to interpretation, and everybody's got their,
but you got to go Lidstrom.
Yeah, I guess, but Alfredsson,
I mean, Alfredsson's definitely up there. I mean, who do you got? You got Forsberg, Alfredsson, Lidstrom, Zetterberg.
Was too short of a career, right? Zetterberg. You can make the argument for Zetterberg too.
Zetterberg was great. I mean, you can say Lundqvist, dude. Lundqvist was fucking lights out for those guys.
Maybe it was Skater. I don't know. But anyways, Bill Daley's title is the deputy commissioner. That was the word neither one of us could come up with. The word is deputy.
It was a long day.
Yeah, and he's also the NHL legal counsel. So good on Bill Daley for the double dip. This is the shitty one. This was the follow up on a previous story. Hockey Canada has announced that they are reopening the investigation into the alleged sexual assault back in 2018. All players are required to cooperate or will immediately be banned from all Hockey Canada events, activities, and programs. This took place at a golf tournament. And the woman alleges she was trapped in the room for hours. So not a good look. So
good that they're reopening it and like trying to get to the bottom.
Good that Hockey Canada is holding these people to the fire as well. Yeah. Rick Bowness has now couched. Yeah, he's coached. Reading. That is reading.
Pausing right now.
Yeah, Rick Bowness. I just stumbled over the blue line. Rick Bowness coached the old and the new Jets, and I don't think anyone ever else has done that.
Fun fact. I like that.
Yeah. And the last one from the documentary Unrivaled, the Detroit reporter's name is Bob Wojnakowski, Is that how you say it? He's both a reporter and a columnist for the Detroit News, and he's a host on the top-rated sports radio in Detroit. And in all the free agent frenzy stuff, we forgot to wish our neighbors to the north Happy Canada Day.
Happy Canada Day, Canadians.
Yep, there you go.
That list was a little longer than last week. We're going to try to, dump down a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to try to tighten it up.
All right, let's hop into NHL the news. Play the music. All right, NHL in the news. Actually, before I start, Brownie, get into our group me and tell everybody to retweet this on our Twitter. But we're going to get her going. Matt Molson, the Mutt. I mean, this guy had quite the career. Power play staple, Sabres, Islanders, wherever he was. He ended up being the captain on the AHL team. I remember last year, or was this year, they came out with a cool video about him getting named captain, how much it meant to him. He retired after 650 games played with the Kings, the Wild, the Islanders, and the Sabres. He notched 176 tucks, 193 apples for 369 points, 122 penalty minutes, and scored 30 goals in 3 consecutive seasons for the New York Islanders. Matt Molson, man, he just a great player, great head of hair on him too. Like very recognizable. You'd see him definitely uses a little bit of that mane and tail. He was always like, whenever the Rangers played him, I fucking hated him, right? Because he was always one of their guys that seemed to always score the goals that they needed. Good for him.
Well, that's the mark of a good player. When you always hate that one guy who plays against your team, right? Yeah, and you're like, I hate that guy. But deep down, what that means is, I'd love to have that guy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, 3 30-goal consecutive seasons, not bad.
Yeah. And that's in a defensive-minded system, too.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're going to move to Detroit. Maz, this one's for you. Detroit, the Yzerman plan. The Yzer plan. Derek Lalonde is the new head coach. Lalonde served as assistant under John Cooper for the last 4 seasons on Tampa. After a long career coaching in the minors and college ranks, after 3 years at Ferris State and 5 at University of Denver, he won a championship in his first year in the USHL, the United States Hockey League, before working as head coach for 2 years in the Coast and 2 years in the AHL. This is his first head coaching job in the NHL. I think at this point, whatever Yzerman says, like, I'm fully behind. Somebody asked me the other day, who do you think the best GM in the league is? And I think give it a couple years and it's definitely going to, start showing a little bit more in Detroit. But you look at what Yzerman did in Tampa in the wagon of the team that they have now. And then what I like about him is he does it his way. When they drafted Mo Seider, everybody was like, what the hell are they doing? Do you remember that reaction?
One of them on TSN, remember?
They had no idea. And the kid just won the Calder. So
the other thing about Lalonde getting this gig is that it's good to see a fresh face. Right? Instead of the recycle. We talked about that last podcast. It's good to see fresh faces. It's good to get a new voice. And the more new guys in, the better it is, because competition makes everything better. And if it's the same 5 guys going for the same job every year, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's nice to kind of get out of that old cycle of just the same head coaches time and time and time. So shout out to him. Congratulations. Sticking with coaches. This is kind of weird. I wonder how many times this has happened. A coach has coached a team to score the most goals in the NHL, playoffs, get them all the way through, get canned, and then go right to an assistant role. But Andrew Burnett, 3-year deal to the Devils. He's going to join the coaching staff as an assistant.
I'm telling you right now, this is a low-key great move for the Devils.
I think so.
So like you just said, Florida scored the most goals in NHL history, wasn't it? Is that what it was? What does New Jersey have trouble doing? Right? Yeah, I mean, it's a match made in heaven if you think about it. If he tweaks the power play, I mean, if he's a power play specialist, and he has that offensive mindset, it's crazy how different coaches have different views on things. And listen, I know, when I played, I know that's the worst thing ever to do on these type of situations. But even coaching high school lacrosse, I was offensively minded. My buddy who coached, he was the D. And it's just it's what and what you're comfortable with. And if he really is an offensive coach and he can help New Jersey with all their new additions, I mean, come on. And the young guys have to be psyched to have this guy come in.
Not only that, if they don't play that well and they have to fire a head coach, you have a guy right there.
Exactly.
Who has experience. So I would agree with you. I'm good with that. We are going to skip this one, I think. And we are going to go to Colorado. You good with that?
Yeah, you don't want to.
Yeah, I don't really want to get into that.
Okay.
All right. Colorado, they promoted Chris McFarland to GM and named Joe Sakic president of hockey ops, not before he made a move for Georgia, which we'll get into in a little bit. Good for Joe Sakic, win a cup, get a promotion.
Yep.
What do you got on this? I mean, Colorado.
Well, I like the fact that Colorado, listen, you want to, the worst thing that happens to Stanley Cup teams is that they get all giddy about everything and they just start handing out these huge fat contracts with no movement clause. You know, Pete Chiarelli, I'm looking at you. Right. So that's what happens when you win the cup. This, great. You got another voice. Sakic's still there. McFarland knows what he's doing. They have the two of them. It's like a two-headed beast to approach things. And those are the guys. If you want to get stupid with money, those are the guys you get stupid with money. Don't fall in love with players like offering Kadri $13 million for 5 years to stay or something like that. Right. This is a good move. Smart.
And apparently Colorado's still in the running to get Kadri as of right now. Yeah. He hasn't been signed. This kind of cleared something up for me. I always thought the general manager would be the position, like that's the head honcho, but the president of hockey apparently is the head honcho. Kind of a little confusing. So what is it? The president just gets final say in whatever the GM wants to do, essentially?
I think like the GM goes to the president to sign off, and if it's a really big ticket, I think the president has to go to the owner. At least that's here in Boston. I know like Sweeney has to go to Neely. Neely can endorse it to a point, and then he has to go to Jacobs, who have covered themselves in glory once again this year, about a week ago. We'll get to that in my Bruins thing.
All right. Moment of silence. Brad Marchment passed away at the age of 53 last week. Father of Mason, who signed with Dallas. He played 17 seasons in the NHL, breaking in as a 16th overall pick for the original Winnipeg Jets. Played 926 games in the show. Had a line of 40, 142 for 182, and 2,307 penalty minutes. That's my kind of guy. He broke the 300 PIM season barrier one time in his career and 200 PIMs twice. Again, my kind of guy. He was known as a rugged, tough defenseman who would stick up for his teammates, wasn't shy about throwing his weight around. He infamously collapsed Mike Gardner's lung with the check. Gardner had to return to Toronto for Edmonton via train and had a legendary feud with Dougie Waite when Waite jumped him for a knee-on-knee hit. Marchment played in the area of the heavyweights, taking out Probert, Domi, Larocque, and Wendell Clark. If you're watching this, take 2 seconds, go on YouTube and look at Wendell Clark's flight videos. It's unbelievable. At the time of his death, Marchment was working for the Sharks, preparing for the upcoming draft. Sucks, but I mean, what a guy. And it's, we're going to look at him and I think the Sharks are well on their way. I like the fact that his ticket had a nice ticket. Everybody took the time to kind of, talk about him at the draft too. So that's
it's unfortunate. It sucks, right? 53 is young, especially when, really he also has a niece, I think, who plays for the Connecticut Whale in the women's league, I believe. Just a hockey family, and one of those guys like tough. He's the guy, and a guy like you hear Biz Nasty talk all the time about. Like you'd look at the lineup card and be sweating it all day. That's the kind of guy that did that to people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Mr. Marchment. So. Toronto promoted Dr. Haley Wickenheiser to assistant GM last Tuesday. The 4-time Olympic gold medalist will work under Kyle Dubas and has been working for the Leafs since 2018. Good for her, right? I feel like her name showing up almost every week with something new, so we love to see that. It's been reported by Emily Kaplan that Toronto never made Jack Campbell an offer after the season. There was an initial offer early last season, but nothing after that. He ended up going to Edmonton, which we'll talk about.
That's one of those ones when you're like, I can't. What happens with the Homer fans, because it happens here constantly, is that they're like, oh, why did he leave us? What, like Curtis Lazar? Why did Curtis leave? Well, you know what? Curtis is from Vancouver, and maybe he didn't want to be here. He's on the opposite. Yeah, but he's on the opposite side of the coast from his family, and maybe he came here. He learned, from Bergeron, and he took his talents to Vancouver. Jack Campbell. He maybe didn't want to be in Toronto and that media spotlight. I mean, Edmonton's crazy, but it's a different type of crazy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I was you brought up Lazar. I was shocked when we'll get into his contract, but $1 million a year for a spark plug. Duncan Keith decides to hang him up after 17 seasons in the NHL. Played his entire career with Chicago before going to Edmonton for one season. He ended with 1,256 games played, going up. He had 106 goals, 540 assists, 646 points. 675 penalty minutes, was a plus 159. I know a lot of people don't like plus minus. I'm still a fan. He won 3
Stanley Cups. Career. If you can go plus 159 as a defenseman when Chicago sucked, yeah. I mean, him and Seabrook were monsters. Remember that?
Yeah, they were huge. He won 3 cups, 2 Olympic golds to go along with 2 Norris trophies and 1 Conn Smythe. He was named to the NHL top 100 players and grew up a Bruins fan. First ballot Hall of Famer, and the stories about him going out in old man makeup are legendary.
Have you heard about that? How he does that?
Talk about it.
So, like Knoxville on Jackass, they go out, him and Spike Jones, they wear like the old makeup. They look like older people. Well, I guess Duncan Keith does this. And he's had these like things like professionally made by he got the money, right? Mm-hmm. And because he gets mobbed, so he gets to go out in that. And I guess he does it fairly often. And he talked about it on an interview. I don't remember it. I don't know if it was Spittin' Chicklets. I don't know where it was, but I remember hearing about it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Yeah, but that's the kind of thing I'm going to buy Twitter, right? You dress up as an old man and when you're famous and go out and have some fun. That's fun, right?
Go to a couple of open skates and just tool on people.
Yeah, exactly.
This was one of my favorite things of the week.
I agree.
Mike Greer is the new GM of the San Jose Sharks, and it didn't take him long to really get things going. They had a young kid, Dolan. They didn't qualify him, and this is a quote. There's a certain type of player. There's a certain type of profile of player, things that we're looking for to make this team that I would like it to be. He doesn't really fit the profile right now. He followed up and said it all starts with competitiveness. It doesn't always mean that they have to be the biggest guy in the room, but it's got to be a high level of competitiveness and hardness. You'll probably start to see a little bit more of that coming to the organization. That's the nicest way possible of calling somebody a pussy.
Yep.
Right?
So I read that, and we talked about that, not in the podcast. We talked about that offline and how that you're fired up, right? If you're there, especially let's go back to Curtis Lazar. If you're a Curtis Lazar type of player, right? Bottom or middle six, work your bag off every shift, play the body, penalty kill, forecheck, right? That's what you want to hear from your GM. You're like, you are going to fill this team with guys like me, but with better hands, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're hoping for. So, and we're going to get to each team and what they did in free agency, but what does that say about Brent Burns?
Yeah, but at the same time,
I know they had to free up contract stuff.
The contracts, they're kind of rebuilding right now. He's really trying to reshape and retool, and they got Steven Lorentz, who's a hell of a player. If he's gotten up from that,
you hear Brent Burns' comments about going to Carolina?
He's pumped about going to Carolina because he's like a fitness freak and all this stuff. And he said
it renewed and woke up something in him that's been dormant for a long time. And that's not his exact quote, but that's basically what he was saying. And I'm like, well, if he was just kind of going through the motions the last couple of years, I'm sure Greer saw that.
Yeah, but he also kind of came out and said that he respected the way that Greer told him, and that and it came from a guy who had been there and done that kind of a thing. Yeah. I thought it was a peaceful breack-up. That I didn't.
Yeah, no, I'm just
one way or the other.
Listen, I'm all about starting chaos on other teams. So,
the Coachella Valley Firebirds, the AHL for the Seattle Kraken, have hired Jessica Campbell as an assistant coach, the first woman behind the bench in the AHL. Shout out to her. Stick taps.
Yep.
St. Louis, per reports, Blues are apparently looking to move Torrey Krug.
So this is in here for my buddy JR, who I skate with, because he and I have had a long-standing back and forth about how I'm a big Colin Miller guy, and he's always been a Torrey Krug guy, and I'm like, I would half of Colin Miller for one whole Torrey Krug, and we've had this debate for years. So I don't know. Colin Miller just signed a new deal, and the Blues are not happy with Krug, so stick that in your ass, JR.
Arizona, 20 of their first 24 games next year are on the road. They play just 2 home games in both October and November. There's no Saturday night home games during the college season, but there is one in December during Christmas break.
Dude.
The Coyotes, man. At least they're a young team. They can go party at freaking Arizona State. They're going to have a good time.
It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
Yeah. That's Coyotes hockey. The Kings have hired. Oh boy, I don't know.
Do it?
Yes,
Manon Rhéaume. She was a goalie for Tampa
Lightning.
Bay back in the day. Yeah, Phil Esposito brought her on.
Hockey ops and prospect advisor. Big week for women in hockey, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Like to see that. Quick little tidbit: Edmonton next year they're going to go back to the classic royal blue and white jerseys.
I'm taking full credit for this because if you remember when they had playoffs, when we were talking back and forth, and I'm like, every time they roll out in those navies, they lose. And they did. And I was on it, very vocal about it. Clearly, someone's been listening. McDavid, you're welcome.
David, you're welcome.
It's one of the best jerseys in NHL history. The original jersey. It's lights out.
Yeah, no, it is, and I think they need some good juju. So
yeah, for sure.
Let's see what happens there. Jaromir Jagr sent an open message to NHL GMs yesterday. I am also a free agent once again. 6'3", 50 years old, slow but strong, in good hands. Can bring experience and like to play only home games. Call me anytime. Also, as the owner of a hockey club in Czech, I'm looking to sign a defenseman. No jokes. So,
dude, Jagr is the gift that does not stop giving.
He's unreal, man. I wish he was younger so he could keep playing, but
he is still playing. He had to buy a team to do it, but he's still playing.
But playing.
I know.
Your boy Billy Guerin. This whole Cam Talbot thing was quite the mess. So
this is awesome, though.
Signed Fleury to a 2-year deal. Specifically, Cam Talbot and his agent George Bazos, who was quoted, he and Talbot have stated our position. Billy has a lot to think about. He was unaware that nobody puts Billy in a corner. I don't have shit to do. Cam Talbot's under contract. George can say whatever the hell he wants. My team's set right now, and that's the way it goes. We can have all the discussions we want. Cam's a member of our team. We really like Cam. All we're trying to do is win. Did he really say that? I didn't see that.
Yeah, that was his quote. So I feel like Billy Guerin snapped a little bit, and when he goes, "My team's set right now, and that's the way it goes." And at that point, he was like, "Namaste." And then he goes, "We can all have discussions we want. Cam's a member of our team," and then he kind of, softened it up a little bit. But listen, fuck these agents. I wish more GMs talk like that.
True. Although, if I'm Cam Talbot, I feel the same way.
100%. I can see this is one of those ones you get both sides of it. They ink Fleury, and Talbot's like, "What the fuck?" But hey, it all worked out. But gotta love Billy G. I mean, the fans. If you're not a fan of his as a Minnesota fan, then you should not be allowed to watch the Wild.
And maybe he snapped because he has some other drama going on right now. Kirill the Thrill. He's apparently wanted in Russia for allegedly buying a fake military ID in 2017. Neither the U.S. or Russia are currently aware of
where. Did you say allegedly? Allegedly.
All right. When the arrest of Ivan Fedotov was the first reported, Kaprizov was reported to have returned to the U.S., but now reports are that he was denied entry via Dubai and later the Caribbean. Latest rumors have him holed up in Turk and Caicos.
There's something about the visas now. There's something about the visas where listen, I don't know any of this stuff. I didn't even know you could get a passport card until I went to Canada. I don't know about any of this stuff, but there's some type of visa that is available to them when the season starts, but it's not available now. And that's, I think, the holdup, if I can dumb it down.
They got to get him back.
Yeah, for sure. For his safety, for nothing else. Yeah.
Wayne Gretzky reached out to Shane Wright after he dropped to Seattle at 4th overall in the NHL draft. Don't worry about it, kid. I didn't go first overall either. The great one specifically requested Wright's number to make sure he was in the right headspace after the draft. I love that shit.
Yeah, that's
cool. He didn't have to do that. And Wayne Gretzky's calling his phone and Shane Wright, if he has any sort of compete level, that kid's gonna light shit up because
we'll get to it when we go through the teams. But I think Shane Wright makes the squad coming out of camp.
Yeah, I think so easily. Him and Matty Berniers, which is another great player, young American. So with the draft, 3 Canadians were selected in the first 21 picks and played together prior in a different sport. Connor Geeky, Dento Mateychuk, and Owen Pickering played together on the U13 championship in 2017. Arizona sent their team to the draft wearing iridescent, blue suits with linings showing off the Arizona logo. The players wear the same sweater. We can wear the same suits. Wow, dude. I'm not even gonna try the first one.
I think it's Gerard Slavkovsky. Maybe
was selected first overall by Montreal and became the first Slovakian player to be drafted first and received the FaceTime call from Zdeno Chara, the legend himself, at the draft. Yep. People were oohing and ahhing about that. I thought it was kind of funny. They had Megan Chaika there, and literally every time she said they were going to pick somebody, they didn't pick it. So shout out to her and her spreadsheets. Tampa Bay Lightning pick Isaac Howard, after being selected 31st overall, came out in an all-white suit, blue turtleneck, and USA flag belt buckle. I think I'm the best looking guy here, so I decided to be the best dressed too.
Listen, if there's not more a Tampa Bay fucking player than this Chooch, good Christ. That's a kid. Like, if I was in his draft, I'd be like, I'm running this kid first chance I get.
I love that. The USA belt buckle is what did it for me, man. Yeah, I'm all aboard that train. And then Bruce Boudreau was surprised by his
great.
current favorite WWE star, Kevin Owens. It was during NHL Network hit with host Jackie Redmond. She's awesome. Who also does work with WWE. Boudreau, he did go all fanboy, ignored the draft questions entirely, and peppered Owens with his questions. So,
yeah.
And Owens, I'm pretty sure he's a Canadian guy.
Yeah. So the least surprising thing of the entire NHL draft is that Bruce Boudreau loves WWE. Like that's like the odds on favorite on any kind of betting site.
Just him and his Haagen-Dazs just crushing WWE Raw.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, free agent frenzy time. About to break down all the teams. First up.
So hold on before we get into this. I don't know if you should read every single thing.
No, I'll go for the main points.
But you could talk about both the guys or whatever, like for Anaheim. But I put in asterisks of the bigger hits or important stuff.
I'm good with that.
All right.
The Ducks, Ryan Strome, 5 years, $5 million. I just want to say this. He was a great Ranger.
Was it 5 for 5? Is that what it was? It wasn't
5
reported.
For 5.
Yeah.
He guy battled through injury. He put up points with Panarin. He would fight. After that Wilson game, he was one of the – I think he fought Lars Eller. The guys in the room loved him. He got a lot of hate for missing empty nets, and I get it. And if you look, he probably missed like 20 empty nets. So I mean, I get that. Yeah, it was a lot. But
too easy when there's no goalie.
He was a great Ranger, man. He's definitely going to get a tribute video for sure. I have nothing but good things to say about him. I'm glad we didn't re-sign him. I'm glad he went and got a bag out in Anaheim. I think he's going to be good for Trevor Zegras and the young kids that they have there because he's a pro. Yep. He knows it the right way. If you look at it, dude, he was drafted by the Islanders, went to the Oilers, got traded for the Rangers for Ryan Spooner, and just I don't know. I have nothing but good things to say about him. Speaking of getting the bag, Frankie Petrano, the Springfield Rifle, 3 years, 10.95. That's 3.65 a year. He played great, lights out for the Rangers. I'm okay with both of them going to the Ducks.
It's great for the Ducks. I mean, those are two great pickups for the Ducks.
I think so. With a team that's not really competing, these are guys that you can put in your lineup. They're going to score goals, and they're good to have in the room. So
they show the guys the right way to play. They both play 200 feet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Arizona, they got Nick Bustad, Josh Brown, Bakanji Emama, John Gillies, and they got Zach Kassian from Edmonton. A first, 2022 first, 24 third, and a 25 second for a 2022 first round pick. That was a lot. Kassian is going to light up ASU. I wish we could just kind of watch him.
How angry is Zach Kassian?
He's probably pissed because like the whole cup chances go out the window. But like if you're not going to win a cup, there's a lot of teams that aren't going to win a cup. I wouldn't mind playing at Arizona State.
And I think Arizona's a no state tax too, I believe.
Yeah.
So your Bruins soften the blow a little bit.
Your Bruins signed AJ Greer 2 years, 1.52 with a 762.5 cap hit. And they acquired Pavel Zacha in a trade for Eric Haula. I thought Eric Haula was the best second line center in the league, so I was pretty confused when I saw this. But
well, I think this is a classic case of, I mean, listen, I'm trying to make the best of it, right? Because I liked Haula's game, but I think this is a classic case of selling an asset high and buying an asset low.
Yeah.
Right. And it's going to come down to Zacha's RFA. So they got to sign him. They don't have a whole lot of cap space and a big body. He's got like 8 inches on Haula.
Yeah.
And he's physical, can play on the edge a little bit. He's also weirdly like best buds with Zaboral. They've been friends since they were like 4 years old, and he already lives in Boston because Brian Boyle and Jimmy Hayes, when they were on the Devils, convinced him to come up and train up here. So he already is familiar with the area, which has got to make it an easier landing. And listen, he can play both wings and center. So depending on what happens with Bergeron and Krejci, it's a good depth piece.
You also have Marchand out until November. So that, I
understand. Yeah, he can go to the wing.
He can move to a wing.
Yeah, and so could Haula. And listen, I like you said about Strome, I mean, Haula wasn't here as long, but he played great when he did everything they asked him to do. He got health bombed once, and it certainly woke him up. And, he had a great second half, and I wish him nothing but the best. New Jersey's got quite a good team going. And I think if this is one of those ones, it's like a scratch ticket. If it hits, it could be great.
Do you have more Bruins talk to talk about?
Yeah, when we get to the Bruins, like when you do after you do your Rangers stuff.
Okay.
It's going to be mostly me venting, but sure.
The Sabres got Eric Comrie, Ilya Levushkin, Victor Olofsson, 2 years, 9.5. That's 4.75 cap hit. Malcolm Subban and Craig Anderson's coming back for another year. So
they got smart.
Yeah.
I think they had a smart free agency. They have 3 goalies competing for the spot that Devin Levy is going to take, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If everything goes according to plan.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to see Killer go, but he might have wanted out. So
yeah. Calgary, Nikita Zadorov, 2 years, 7.5, 3.75 million cap hit. Trevor Lewis and Kevin Rooney ended up going to Calgary. Kevin Rooney, 4th line center for the Rangers. I was about him. I mean, he fought, so good.
I think they'll love him in Calgary.
Yeah,
if he could stay healthy, they'll love him. But I feel like there's not a lot of love in Calgary right now, but we'll get to that later.
Carolina, they got Andre Kasha, Stefan Nosen, and they got Brett Burns from the Sharks. They gave up Lorentz for him, and they got Max Pacioretty for nothing because Vegas is, in shambles. So
Vegas, honestly, it is, the owner is like fantasy hockey.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable the amount of stuff. Like someone had the whole timeline of draft picks and everything else they did. And it was like they just gave away, like with the Suzuki deal, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But they just print money in Vegas. So
I don't think anybody's chirping Vegas if they want a cup. And I think that's what they tried to do. And now they're like, oh, fuck, we didn't want a cup.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you go all in and you lose, it stings, right?
Yeah. Chicago got Colin Blackwell. I think that's a good pickup. Alex Stalock, Andreas Athanasiou. Max Domi went there for a year. They got Peter Mrazek. They traded Kirby Dach to the Montreal Canadiens for a first. And they, they got rid of Alex DeBrincat for a 7th, 39th overall, and a 2024 third-round pick. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're rebuilding their rebuild. Like, I've never seen somebody try to rebuild by trading a 24-year-old 40-goal scorer. It makes no sense to me.
The only thing that makes sense is that they're trying to just piss off Taves and Kane enough that they ask for trades. Like, that makes sense if that's what their goal is.
They're in shambles. Hate to see it.
Jenkins got out at the right time, buddy.
Jenkins jumping ship.
Yeah.
Colorado. Arturi Lehkonen, 5 years, 22.5. Josh Manson, 4 years, 18 mil. They brought back Darren Helm. Valery Nichushkin, 8 years, 49 mil. J.B. McDonald, Andrew Cogliano. They traded for Alex Georgiev. They gave up a 2022 third, 5th, and a 2023 third. Then they signed him to a 3-year, $10.2 million cap. They won't win a cup again. Not for a while. I don't think.
Well,
they don't have a goalie. And if they're convinced that Alex Georgiev is going to be their goalie, I don't know what they're watching.
If you take away Georgiev, right? Yeah. Take away that part of this. Everything they did was lights out. Because look at the cap hits.
Yeah, but I don't even know if they're. How are they going to bring back Kadri with all that? I don't
think they're going to be able to.
And think about how much money. Bowen Byram's going to end up getting a deal. McCarr's making a ton of money. McKinnon, Landeskog, they have a ton of people making a lot of money on this team now.
But if you look, see how this is the key. See how it's 5, 4, 1, 8, 2, 1. There's not a lot at the same time. That's the key, is to stagger it.
But they gave Nichushkin pretty much a Chris Kreider contract. And Chris Kreider just scored 52 goals this year. And Nichushkin, he had a really good playoff, but
they're hoping. I get your argument. I just don't. They're hoping that's the baseline for him now, I guess. Yeah, the Georgiev one, I think you got in my head, and I think he's horrible now because of you. But I mean, maybe they see something more.
Good luck. Columbus Blue Jackets, in my opinion, had the best deal and the worst deal in the entire free agent frenzy. Best deal, Johnny Gaudreau, 7 years, 68.25. That's a $9.75 million cap hit. He left like $15 million on the table in Calgary. He left money on the table in New Jersey. So in my opinion, the biggest free agent on the market you got for less money that other teams are going to give him. And you have a superstar on your team. To me, that's your best deal. The worst deal, Erica Branson, 4 years, $4 million a year so 16 mil total. They announced this on, I forget what I was watching, and they thought it was for $1 million a year. And they're like, oh, yeah, good. And then when they found out it was 4 for 4, they were like, wait, what?
So do you think – so Goverson was first, right? That was before Gaudreau.
Yes.
So it had to have been – listen, I'll bring Johnny. Just give me the 4.
I don't know.
You don't – why not? Why is that out of the realm of possibility?
It could be. It could be. Johnny Gaudreau's getting fried online right now, but like – if he didn't want to live in Canada, don't live in Canada. It's up to him. It's not up to you. I understand why fans are pissed because it's like, why didn't they tell me sooner?
Well, the other thing we talked about, you, me, and Hal, when we were texting, I honestly think that could be part of it. If he goes home to New Jersey, Philly, Long Island, in his home area, right, the Rangers, any of those 4, the pressure on him is immense, right? And he's under a spotlight all the time, and everybody's going to be up his ass all the time for tickets, this, that, and the other thing. He's now close enough home, right? He's like, 8 hours from his folks and stuff. He's close enough. He's playing under no pressure. And he's probably going to walk around Columbus and no one's going to know who the hell he is.
Yeah. And he grew up in South Jersey. So most people from South Jersey are Flyers fans. He grew up a Flyer fan. I grew up a Rangers fan.
Chuck Fletcher, did I forget that in the NHL part? Did you see what Chuck Fletcher said?
Yeah, essentially that he it'd be too difficult to make a move for him, which was insane.
It was like, that's your job. Did we skip that somehow? Did we talk about that?
No. But the point I'm trying to make, I grew up a Rangers fan. Obviously, I'm not in the NHL, but if I was in the NHL and I had big deals from the Islanders and the Devils, and then the same kind of big deal for a team not that far away, I'm not playing for the Islanders or the Devils. So I don't know if that kind of goes into it, but
it might. Oh, so here's the thing from Chuck Fletcher. We just skipped it somehow. GM Chuck Fletcher said, quote, he didn't go after Gaudreau because he would listen to this, because he would have had to have moved multiple contracts to get enough cap space, and that it would have been.
That's your job. I don't know. It's doesn't really make too much sense to me, but it kind of is what it is, I guess. But yeah, so we're going to kind of move on from that. Brownie, are you still here? We lost Brownie. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. We're going to get the other one up here.